Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by ICOM. Heard it? Worked it? Logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
It's Ham Radio.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live, episode number 249. VHF Contesting and Roving, recorded live on Thursday, March 4th, 2021. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Jim Wilson, K5ND. And we will take your calls live a little later in the show. Last week, John Portune, W6NBC, was here to talk about building an ugly balun. If you missed that show, you can listen anytime at hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, and you can catch the rebroadcast of Ham Talk Live Saturday afternoons at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time over on WTWW. That's 5.085 a.m. Again, Saturday afternoons around 3:30 in the Eastern Time Zone. And we want to thank WTWW for carrying the show every week. Well, a couple of announcements here before we talk to Jim. One just came in this afternoon. A note from Christian K0STH, who appears on the show from time to time. He has the 100 Watts in a Wire show, and they are teaming up with another ham with a YouTube channel. And they're trying to raise some public awareness on behalf of a Detroit area ham that's been diagnosed with end-stage renal failure. Phil Ross, AB8PR, has been told that unless a matching kidney can be located from a living donor soon, he will require dialysis, and that's a time-consuming intervention, and it's not considered a cure. So Christian K0STH and Alexander Balladares, W7HU, are turning their respective channels on YouTube into some venues for the Papa Phil Challenge. They hope that a compatible donor can be found in time. So 100 Watts at a Wire is about the intersection of life and ham radio. And Alexander's channel, W7HU Alex, live streams the contacts that he makes. Many of those are international contacts, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. So they have teamed up to try to get the word out on this, and they've put together this weekly Wednesday program called The Spirit of Radio, a nod to the prominent ham radio plays, prominent role ham radio plays in public service. And Balladares says, the only thing we ask in return is those who watch the live streams post the link to Papa Phil's video from his website on their social media pages. So they're trying to get the word out here. So for more information, visit the Papa Phil website at papaphilcan, C-A-N, papaphilcan.com. And They're also going to do a special event. So they're going to be on 17, 20, 40, and 80 meters from March 13th through March 20th, sharing Phil's story and using the call sign Kilo 4 Papa, K4P. So they'll be on sideband and FT8, special event QSL cards. If I could talk tonight, goodness. And a downloadable, I just need to slow down, I think. A downloadable digital certificate will be available. So check that out, the papaphilcan.com and the special event for Papa Phil. And hopefully he can find a match soon. Also, I want to remind you about the QSO Today Virtual Ham Expo returning here shortly in about 9 days, actually, March 13th and 14th. Early bird tickets are $10 as part of the speaker lineup. ARRL CEO David Minster, NA2AA, will deliver the keynote on Saturday, March 13th from 12 to 1 Pacific time. And he'll be talking about advancing amateur radio and current ARRL initiatives. And also our guest tonight, Jim Wilson, K5ND, will be presenting at that expo about VHF contesting. So you can see some of the things that we're talking about tonight. So get your questions ready to go for Jim. If you're listening to us live on Thursday night, you can give us a call after the interview. Let me go ahead and give you the phone number so you can have it ready. We'll let you know when it's time. But the telephone number when it's time will be 859-982-7373. Again, 859-982-7373. And we also take questions via Twitter. The Twitter handle is @HamTalkLive. And if you're on Spreaker, you can type in the comments there too. That acts kind of like a little chat room. So we'll check those throughout the evening as well. And I'll be back with Jim right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Hey, honey, have you seen the PL259s anywhere?
No, I haven't. Come on, kids. Let's go. There's just one place to go for all of your connector needs.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
A giant warehouse of connectors and adapters for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And they have antennas, soldering supplies, cables, meters, and more. Where do you go if you want to buy a connector at a fraction of retail cost?
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 solder-type PL259s, get the 10th one for just 1 penny. They make great Christmas presents. And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a PL259?
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
I'm Scott, KB9AMM of Tower Electronics. I like the PL259 connector so much, I bought the company.
Tower Electronics, coming to a Hamfest near you, or online at pl-259.com. And we're in the yellow pages under Amateur Radio Connectors.
My, wherever did you get that lovely PL259?
Tower Electronics, pl-259.com, or call 920-435-2973.
Do we sell PL259 connectors?
Ham Talk Live. The longer you listen, the later it gets.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Tonight, Jim Wilson, K5ND, joins us on the Orlando Amateur Radio Club and Hamcation Zoom line. Jim is retired from the Boy Scouts of America headquarters, where he spent 21 years in publishing and communications. He's now a freelance writer and the past president of the K2BSA Amateur Radio Association. Check them out at k2bsa.net. and he is a well-known author, including some VHF contesting articles in the National Contest Journal, where we share some of the pages. So, Jim, glad to have you back tonight, and there's been a lot of stir about hearing about your roving setup especially, so thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Neil. Thanks for inviting me, and really, before we get started, I want to congratulate you on being named the 2021 Carol Perry Educator of the Year, a well-deserved recognition of all that you're doing in education and ham radios. And congratulations.
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate that, and that means a lot. I know you have worked with youth for a very long time and have opened a lot of doors into youth and amateur radio as well. And you've done a fantastic job, and I know Bill is carrying that on. And if we can get rid of this COVID stuff, it would help tremendously, and get some kids on the air. But tonight we're going to talk about VHF contesting and roving. And so for someone that's just getting into the VHF side of things, where should they look to operate, and what modes, what bands, how much activity is really out there?
Okay. Well, that's a lot to answer, but actually before
in 50 words or less, no.
50, yeah, exactly. And mail it in for a magic decoder ring.
Yes, there you go.
But actually, the phrase I want to use to describe VHF contesting, and I borrowed this from W5ZN, magic bands with super results from average stations. Okay, so that's the thing that I like about this. There's a lot of magic happening on these bands, particularly 6 meters. It's Joel Harrison, W5ZN. I'd forgotten his name. He got me into VHF contesting. Not sure he knows that from his sessions at Contest University. He gradually roped me into this. But they're small antennas. They're high gain antennas in a very small space. So, and actually right here now, I've got a 6 meter antenna up in my backyard on the top of a push-up mast, a fiberglass push-up mast. And that's what I operate on 6 meters. And just in January, I worked North Cook Islands, E51WL on FT8. And I copied LU5FF from Argentina just last week. I didn't manage to work him, but there's stuff happening on these bands. But the question was, well, where for contesting, where's the action? And it's 6 meters, 2 meters, a little bit of action on 222, 432 is good, and all the way up from there. That's what covers VHF contesting. As far as the frequency goes, there's some national calling frequencies. For single sideband, it's 50.125, 144.200, 432.100. There's FM is also used in VHF contesting. And there's even a category called FM only, and it's getting a lot of attention. And there's some great guys working FM only in the contest. So get your handy talkie out and work it. But I'll also share that FT8 is probably the majority of activity that's happening in VHF contesting these days. Some people are happy about that. Some people are not so happy about that. And that happiness and displeasure isn't restricted to VHF contesting by any means. But also, as far as the amount of activity, VHF contesting is really a regional activity, unless there's a big opening on 6 meters, and then it's then it can be nationwide. It can and even worldwide to a certain extent. So typically, here in North Texas, after the first couple of hours of the contest, the activity dies down because you've already worked everybody that's here in the area. But if you're in the Northeast, or Chicago or Los Angeles, some of the bigger communities, the Atlanta area, et cetera, Florida, there's a lot more activity simply because there's a lot more stations out there. So that's the 500 words or less answer to that question.
Okay. Oh, very good. Well, can you give us some tips on VHF contesting to have a better experience? Of course, we always talk about antennas being like, the thing, but what suggestions would you have for getting your VHF contesting station the best experience you can have? The first key is, one, turn the radio on with whatever antenna you happen to have. If you're typically working repeaters, fire up FM on literally on the calling channel. 146.52 is open for contesting. Another way to make the experience better is to reach out to your fellow club members. Reach out to the club and say, let's all get on the air. Let's all make something happening. Let's make some noise and have some fun with this. Set up. You don't have to be a competitor at the national level. You can be a competitor at the club level, and you can also bundle the activity from your club to enter the club portion of these contests. And let me give you that overview too. There's 4 major VHF contests during the course of the year. There's one in January. There's one in June. That's typically very good for 6-meter activity. There's one in July. That's the CQ contest. That's got some different rules. That's only 6 and 2 meters, but it's also good for the 6-meter activity because that's when sporadic E is happening during the summer. And then there's the September contest. So that's how I'd make it a better experience, is find more people to work, encourage your club to participate, not only as individuals, but I got it down here somewhere. I've been doing presentations to clubs on VHF contesting and 6 meters, and in talking and the questions have offered more insight than probably my presentation. But the ARRL club categories, a local club is 10 or fewer members submit their logs, and then you're in the club competition. The CQ contest, it's only 3 entries to get you into the club competition. But don't stop there. Have the competition within your club. Who gets the more points? Who gets the more QSOs, the more grids as multipliers. So I think activity and participation, it will make your experience better. And then, of course, you can always what us fanatics do is we buy more antennas and we buy more amplifiers and radios. You can always do that. Now,
that would be it.
A lot of the stir on social media and everything this week with the show was concerning a couple of pictures of yours that I posted with your roving setup. So let's talk about that, because I know there's a lot of people interested in that. And if you're like me and you've spent most of your time in very unpopulated areas, you may have to go to the activity. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, and my rover operation ties into what I was just expressing, is that making contacts is what it's all about. And what I was experiencing VHF Contest here in North Texas was literally after the first hour or two, that was it. Now, Sunday mornings, there'll be some tropospheric opening, and so some things will happen there. Maybe 6 meters will open up. But the excitement that was happening, if you were still in the chair, was whenever a rover would happen to drive through the area. And you'd work them in whatever grids they activated and whatever bands they had. And finally I said, well, heck, why don't I do that? So let's set up a rover. Let's go out and fire up in one grid and work all those stations, go to the next grid and work all the same stations, and then the next one and the next one after that. So that's what I decided to do. And I really went through 3 phases of my rover operation. And the photos that you're showing is phase 3. But my first phase, I literally had a painter pole. The things that you attach to a roller when you're painting a wall. Painter pole. I put a couple of diamond Yagis on it, one for 2, one for 432, because that's all I had. And I had an ICOM IC910, which it had just 2 bands. And I drove out, fired it up, set the pole up, and worked a bunch of stations. Worked them here in Dallas, worked them in Austin, San Antonio, etc. And I had a blast. And so that comes back to my point as well. Turn the radio on, start participating, and then start making improvements. So phase 2, I got a fiberglass push-up mast, some better antennas, put a 9100 in there, so I had the 6 meters on the air as well. And then phase 3, my problem with the phase 2 was I had a stand-up operation with the radios in the back of my SUV. It was 115 degrees during the CQ contest. That wasn't pleasant. And then it was raining during the September contest. That wasn't pleasant. So I said, I need to, and then it was also, I had to set everything up every time I stopped at a grid. So I said, I need to get over this. Let's set it up inside the car and mount the antennas on top of the car. And so that's basically what I did. I modeled it after a tower, a 3-legged tower. Put the rotator on there and a mast and mounted the antennas. You can mount the antennas very close together without a lot of problem. And so I drive, I park, and I point the antenna at the stations that I'm trying to work. Now, that is one difference with my rover operation. I don't operate while I'm in motion. Now, that is not a winning strategy, but I do not do multitasking. And driving and trying to work stations would not work for me at all. But this is what I've chosen to do, and I have a lot of fun with it. And I can set up the station that I want because I can't put up a tower here at my house or permanent antennas. So that's my way. I don't really have homeowners association restrictions. I have financial and wifely types of restrictions.
Yes, those can be just as powerful, if not more. So, yes, definitely. Well, your latest phase, inside of the vehicle is just fabulous. Seeing the tower and rotor on top and then the computer screen and the rig inside of the car, it looks great. And when I was trying to figure out a roving satellite operation, I was like, okay, Jim, tell me what your ideas are, because I can't do that tower and rotator and everything that you did. And so I started looking in a couple of different directions and found something that was a decent compromise, but still trying to improve on that. But so far I've kept it to satellite roving, but it's been a lot of fun. So I know we have some questions about the roving, so we'll tackle those here in just a little bit. Tell me a little bit about this rotor setup. How do you make all that work on the car?
Well, yeah, actually, I encourage you and the listeners. I have a video on the website that shows me setting it up for, I think it was the June 2020 contest, where I lift the whole thing and put it up on top of the car. But my building skills are restricted to 2x4s and plywood, and so that's what it's made out of. Screwed and glued together, fashioned to exactly fit on the roof top rack. It's an Equinox that I have there. Then I use some ratchet straps to strap it onto the top of the car. I call it my flight test. I take it out and drive 70 miles an hour. If it flies off, then it didn't pass. If it stays on, it passes. But and so I've also it's a Yaesu 450 rotator. That's their smallest one. That's mounted on the plywood. I have a DX Engineering mast. It's an aluminum 2-inch mast that's going up from there. And I used a DX Engineering thrust bearing and then a tower tray, I guess it's called, or such. Mm-hmm. So that basically established the dimensions that I needed. And then Lowe's Hardware has this. It's called Steel Tech, and it's Steel Tech that manufactures it. I buy it at Lowe's, but Steel Tech has these things. They're normally set up to do shelving. So they've got some connections for the shelves and pipes and things like that. And so I used 3 of those as the legs. Put the thrust rotor or thrust bearing and such on that, and it's all bolted in place. And then it comes to a total height of 12 feet. So I literally put a sign on the windshield of my car that says, "You're 12 feet high. Do not forget this." Trees have a tendency to bite you. And don't ask me how I know that. But so at the top is a Moxon for 6 meters. Then at present time, I use Directive Systems Rover Yagis. They're Yagis that are all 8-foot boom lengths. So the 2-meter Yagi is, I think it's 5 elements. Am I thinking that right? Might be 5 or 6. I've forgotten. The 222 is, I think 10 elements, and the 432 is 15 elements. And, so they all have the same boom length except that Moxon that's up there. Mount those, route the cables, route the cable from the rotator into the car as well, and pretty much all set. The other challenge is RFI. You're sitting in a metal box. Oops, sorry.
No, go right ahead. Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of RFI running around, especially with all the electronics in the cars these days.
Yeah, electronics in the car, but mostly it's those antennas, and you're sitting in a metal box just a few feet away from them. But ferrites are your friend, so I've been able to, by and large, eliminate the RFI. So yeah, it works.
And your story about the 12-foot restriction also reminds me of the good old days back at Hamvention. When people would drive down Main Street in Dayton and the electric trolley lines were right above the street. And I've heard there were a few incidents with antennas.
Wow, I had not heard that one. Oh, man.
So yes, you have to remember that. And I relate to your driving test because I did that with my satellite setup that I did. I said, okay, today's the day. I'm going to drive highway speed and let's see if it falls off. So it didn't, thank goodness. So I've been there and done that. All right, well, let's take a break right now, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to take some questions and phone calls at 859-982-7373, and on Twitter, and we'll have the joke of the week and all that when we come back right after this word from ICOM America right here on Ham Talk Live. The great outdoors is calling. Get outside and under the stars with one of ICOM's ultimate SDR transceivers. Stay connected while off the grid. The IC705 is the perfect transceiver for hams who enjoy both the great indoors and outdoors. It's the perfect QRP companion. This base station has features and functionality at the tip of your fingers in a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and just under 2 pounds. It has a 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall, 5 watts with a battery, 10 watts with a power supply. It runs AM, FM, CW sideband, full D-Star functions, and has integrated GPS, micro USB connector, Bluetooth, wireless LAN, and micro SD card slot, and the speaker mic comes standard. The perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional backpack with a special compartment for your 705 and room for accessories. Visit the IC705 webpage to view those accessories and free software available for download. Or create your own band opening with the IC9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the UHF VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy. With a 4.3-inch color touchscreen with real-time spectrum scope and waterfall, smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels, dual watch operation, and full duplex operation in satellite mode. Visually seize the VHF UHF world with ICOM's IC9700. Heard it, worked it, logged it. ICOM's IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various receiver stages to reduce the generated inherent noise in different IF stages. The IC7300 is the radio that changed the way entry-level HF is designed. With RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. The real HF fun starts here. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
If you're a fan of Tim Allen's TV series Last Man Standing, you'll have a final chance to contact the show's amateur radio club station before it goes QRT.
This is KA0XTT73.
The week-long KA6 LMS radio special event starts on March 24th at 0000 UTC and runs through 2359 UTC on March 30th. This will be an all-mode, all-band event. KA6 LMS QSL cards will be available for stations who contact the stage directly or through relay stations. Special event certificates, including clean sweep endorsements, will be available via download. For more information, go to www.gsbarc.org/LMS.
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
You're listening to Ham Talk Live, the most popular podcast with the words ham, talk, and live in the title. Here's your host, Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Thanks to ICOM America for sponsoring the show. They bring Ham Talk Live your way every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here at hamtalklive.com. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I forgot to mention Tower Electronics Hamfest schedule. They're in Fort Walton Beach, Florida on March 19th and 20th. Fort Payne, Alabama on March 27th, and some more coming up. But you can visit them anytime at pl-259.com, and you can get your connectors and more for your ICOM rig. So let's see here. Oh, yes, it is time once again for the joke of the week from N9 GSU. So take it away, Rick.
Now it's time for the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week, the part of the show where Rick tells us a ham radio joke. The Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week is brought to you by QRM Labs. Now, here's Rick Garrett in N9 GSU with today's Ham Talk Live Joke of the Week.
All the computers on the International Space Station are Linux because you can't open Windows in space.
This has been the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week with Rick Garrett in N9 GSU. Tune in again next week for another joke from Rick.
I bet they're wishing they could open a window and find out what's up with that feed line up there at the International Space Station right now. Well, thank you, Rick, and he'll be back with another joke of the week next week. And now it is time for your phone calls. So if you have a question, give us a call, 859-982-7373, or tweet us. It's at Ham Talk Live. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or the podcast edition, you won't be able to reach us. We're recording this live on Thursday night. Okay, well, we actually have a caller on the line waiting. So good evening. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Who's this?
Good evening. My name is Joe Durnell. My amateur call is NE3R, November Echo 3 Romeo. I know Jim a little bit through Scouts, and I've heard him on the satellites, but I don't think I've ever worked him on the air. So I had a question about the 23 centimeter band, and if Jim, do you expect more activity on the band since the ICOM IC-9700 has been such a hot seller lately?
Yeah. Hi, Joe. Thanks for calling in. And Joe was on our staff at I think a couple of jamborees, and including serving as QSL manager for the K2BSA operation. So it's good to hear from you, and thanks for calling in. 23 centimeters. I would expect there'd be some more activity. The challenge there, of course, is the 9700 has it's 10 watts out, which is fine and a good starting point. I also have the IC 9100, and with the 1296 plug-in, or however it goes, so it's 10 watts out as well. And I've been giving some consideration to the ARRL 22 megahertz and up distance challenge that happens in August, and thinking a little bit about putting maybe tying an amplifier into that and a loop Yagi and getting out roving for 23 centimeters. For my own VHF contesting activities, I enter limited rover. So that's just the bottom four bands, 6, 2 meters, 222, and 432. And I do that to simplify my station, but that's always the temptation in VHF contesting, adding more bands, getting up into the microwaves. And there are categories for that operation. I will say also that one of the discussions that's going on, and probably has been going on for quite some time, is the participation levels in contesting at those bands that you're talking about. 23 centimeters, 900 megahertz is another one, and so on. The normal routine in VHF contesting is to find somebody, typically on 2 meters, and say, let's work the bands. And you go right up to 10 gigahertz if you've got it, and you work them in each band. if you're operating FT8, that's really hard to do, to even send the message, hey, let's go to the next band. So that's a real discussion. So I would hope there's more activity on 23 centimeters, but I don't have any experience there myself.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thanks,
Joe. Thank you for calling in. Okay, Joe, thank you for calling, and we appreciate you taking the time to ask a question here with Jim, K5ND. So thanks a lot, 7-3. All right, 859-982-7373 is the phone number. If you would like to call in, give us a call right now. And we do have a couple that came in ahead of the show, so let's take those. Pete, N1QDQ, is looking at some support and rotor solutions for 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. So you want to take that one, Jim?
You betcha. Well, you can get see quite a few photos on my website, K5ND.net, on how I've approached it. But I'll tell you the thing about rovers is every rover installation is different. I've seen a lot of guys with pickup trucks and tripod type of towers out of the truck bed. Guys like myself, where I'm pushing the mast up next to the car. Check out Andrea N2 or K2EZ. Do I have that right? Is it N2EZ? Well, one of those. She's got this huge setup on her car for quite a few bands. I know they're 85. Oh, not thinking of the KA5D. He has a Volkswagen, a Vanagon or a mini bus type of thing with antennas on top of it. A lot of guys use their trailer hitches, and they've got a setup there that they just slide into the trailer hitch, and the mast comes up off of that. Sometimes it'll fold down for travel and fold back up for operation. You name it, they got it. One of the fun things for me has been the Central States VHF Society has for their annual conference a rover bowl, and the rovers drive their rovers there, set them up, and let you tour them, and they answer questions. And every single one is different. In fact, I'm having a video playback. One guy at the last one I attended, which was in Wichita, had made a 6-meter Yagi out of a walker.
Oh, wow.
Bent the tube, took the tubes apart and all that sort of stuff, and put the thing up. So you name it, people are doing it. And a good place, check out websites. Look at the rover listings in the contest results. Check out their QRZ pages. There's a rover group on Facebook where there's a lot of pictures, and they're trading what they're doing. That's another good place to look for ideas and in what you want to do for your situation.
Okay, well, thank you for writing in, Pete, and hope that answers your question. We've got another one we'll get to here in a second, but we have another caller on the line, so let's see who we have here. Good evening. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Hello?
Hey, good evening. This is Aaron in Virginia, Whiskey 4 Juliet Sierra Tango.
Hey, nice to hear you on. You have a question here for Jim tonight?
Yeah, I've got two questions if I can, and thank you for taking my call, and first-time listener on the program, so real interested. Thanks for having it. One question, just curious, if during the contest when you're roving, if you keep an ear out on any FM, such as 14652 or anything like that, and also curious as you're out roving, or maybe ahead of time, how do you go about picking good locations to stop?
Okay. Well, great. Well, Aaron, I will say that it's best practice to listen to those FM and channels. I don't do that, but the guys that win the contest, that's what they do. And I know I've worked with they're the OK Rovers. Actually, you might check that. I think it's okrovers.com or something like that. But you might check out their website. It's a group of rovers, and they circle. They go to different grids and work each other and make a lot of contacts that way. But I know they do a lot of FM work. Typically, I think what they're doing is, one of the reasons that I don't do that is all my antennas are tuned for the single sideband portion of the bands. They're also horizontally polarized. But what they do is they do that, and they have whip antennas and things like that up there, omnidirectional antennas specifically for FM. They also do a lot of work with local clubs and let them know, hey, I'm coming through on this day at this time, get on the air and give me a lot of contacts. So that does happen. It doesn't happen from the Wilson rover, but it does happen. It's absolutely best practice. Now, as to route, and what I do is I go out and look at them beforehand, and then over the last few years, I found some favorites that I focus on. Mostly, you can use Google Maps, and there's some summit location maps and things like that. But you can analyze those maps really closely and figure out where a good place might be. The one where I've done that a fair bit is typically for one of the summer contests, I go out to the Texas Panhandle and I rove from out there, and I set up a route around where 4 grids come together, so around a grid corner, so that I can move very quickly from one grid to the next grid to the next grid and so on, and then take off and drive. So that's how I do that out in the Panhandle. Here in North Texas, there's similar places where I've found. What I try to do is find high places without trees. That's very easy to do in the Texas Panhandle, where there are very few trees. Here in North Texas, west of Dallas, it's pretty easy to do. There's some ridges and things like that out there that I operate from. East Texas, where I also operate, it's a little bit more challenging with the trees and the ups and downs. But I found some places that work. And the other trick is to plan your route so you're driving north and south. Unless you're circling a grid square, the 4-corner thing. North and south, if my memory's serving me right, is about 70 miles. Grid line to grid line. East and west, it's about 100 miles. So, optimally, you want your travel time to be the smallest amount of time, particularly for my operation, since I don't operate when I'm driving, I operate when I stop and I get in the back seat and start pointing the antenna. So that's what I look for. And then adding still more to that, my route typically starts west of Dallas, moves south so that I'm south of Dallas, pointing closer into Austin, San Antonio, and Houston, and then I go back up the east side of Dallas, doing the same sort of thing, ending up in Oklahoma, actually. So hope that answered your question, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of good info. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking my call and answering both questions so well. Thanks again. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. 7-3.
All right, Aaron, thank you for
7-3.
calling. And thank you for listening.
Okay,
too.
thank you. Bye-bye.
I thought we were going to have the long-time caller, first-time listener thing there, but it's supposed to be the other way around. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we've got another one here. We're actually over time here, so we'll see if we get another call. But let me get this one in because this came in early. Chris AD4ZU in Tampa. Has 4 questions. Batteries, serial or parallel, external portable power source. What would you recommend? Typical location route, and how far do you go on a contest? And then, ideas on custom mount fabrication. So there's a lot there. So I'll let you take that.
Well, and that's what I'm, the DC power thing, that's kind of where I'm focusing a lot of attention right now. And I'll just mention one of the things I like about contesting is that from one contest to the next, you always have something you can improve, to help increase your score, to improve operating, etc. And where I've done the rotor, I've done the antennas, I got the rigs, the computer. Now it's more about DC power. And, but I've been using the power from the car. So that's 12 volts DC. I don't connect them in series or parallel. I just use the power from the car. I'm also starting to play around with using supplemental batteries, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. As far as external portable power sources, I know a lot of people use generators. That's typically when they're going someplace and stopping, firing up the generator. But I've not done that. But that is something that's on my list. On location routes during the contest, I'm in the routes that I've chosen here around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm typically putting in 750 miles over the course of a contest weekend. It's been a little different with the COVID restrictions. In the past, I've stayed overnight at a hotel. I'm driving home now between my west route and my east route. But the answers I had for Aaron would apply to selecting a rover route. And custom mount fabrication, you betcha, that's what pretty much all of them are. We don't have them to buy off the shelf, but you can see ideas off my website and the OK Rovers site and the Facebook group on Rovers. It's a private group, but all you need to do is ask to join that. Now, I think I've clicked off those questions there, Neil.
Yep, I believe you have, and that's K5ND, Kilo 5 November Delta.net. So you can check that out. And then also you've got the Ham Expo coming up, and there'll be some video along with that. So you might mention that here real quick before we go.
Yeah, it's the VHF Contesting session that I'm doing at the QSO today, Virtual Ham Expo. And actually, I'm one of the last presentations in the last hour of the Ham Expo. I like to think of it as batting cleanup, but it's more likely they're going to hand me a virtual broom to clean up the place after my
I thought we were
presentation.
saving the best for last.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah, let's go with that one. So there you go. Good.
Okay. Well, you can check that out and check out Jim's website, K5ND.net. And Chris, thank you for sending in those questions. So we're going to finish this up here, Jim. So any final comments before we go?
Turn your radio on and get on the air for these VHF contests, January, June, July, and September. They can be a blast. Bring your friends along and make it happen.
Yeah, I was going to mention earlier when you said that we will guarantee that you will make more contacts if you turn the radio on.
Yeah. Oh, Neil, I have a quick story there, and it's a guy that Gabe, who does a lot of satellite, or used to do a lot of satellite rover operations. But during one of the contests, Gabe was on Mount Scott in Oklahoma, working satellites, and I sent a tweet to him, and I said, Gabe, point your antenna at me here in North Texas and let's work. We worked 2 meters and 432. And I said, Gabe, turn your log in. And he did. I think he worked a couple of other guys, but he won the section for portable operation in the contest in Oklahoma. So get on the air. You can actually win in some of these categories.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Val NV9L is always, commenting on that as like, enter, you may be the only one. So you can win. So that's
exactly.
Great. All right, Jim. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I hope you're recovering from those 20-degree temperatures down there in Texas that is a blast back to your past up north, and hope everything is going well. And we'll be talking with you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you very much, Neil. It's been a pleasure, and we'll be saying 7-3.
All right. Well, that is a wrap for this week's episode of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guest, Jim Wilson, K5ND, and everybody in cyberspace for listening and calling in and typing in. And I invite you back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, when Lou Maggio, NO2C, Sally Rosado, K2RYD, and John Amadeo, AA6JA, will be here to talk about the Last Man Standing QRT special event. And I will be operating on that, so hope to hear you all on that toward the end of the month, and we'll be here next week to talk all about it. And for a list of all of our upcoming guests, visit hamtalklive.com. And if you like the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. That helps others find us faster. And want to congratulate our winners. We had a contest in February from those Apple Podcast reviews, and Josh, WV40, Jacob, KG7EQN, and Brian, W7JET, are winners of Ham Talk Live t-shirts for leaving a review. So thank you all, and congratulations on winning those t-shirts, and sent some emails a little while ago, so check those. Send me your sizes, and we'll get those sent out to you. All right, and also, Ham Talk Live wants you to know, with your generous help and support, Ham Talk Live has now climbed to 70th most popular technology podcast in Guatemala, according to Chartable.com. So you, the listener, has made us what we are today, so thank you very much. And I actually didn't make that up. It's actually true. All right, so for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.